Hi, everybody. Zach Breeding here. I'm a dietitian in the Denver, Colorado area, and also the past chair of the Committee for Lifelong Learning, which plans FENCI. I'm a past delegate for the House of Delegates. I represented the Philadelphia and Lehigh Valley regions in Pennsylvania. I'm the former chair of the Cystic Fibrosis Nutrition subunit of the DMNT, and I'm the former chair of LAHIDAN, the Latinos and Hispanics in Dietetics and Nutrition. Just for reference, I am not Latino or Hispanic, but yes, I was the chair of that organization because I feel that it is extremely important and essential for all dietitians to have a grasp of the cultural and dietary needs of those in the Latino and Hispanic communities, regardless of our own personal race or background. Something came across my desk today that I wanted to share. Now, it's not really in my wheelhouse or my desire to share fringe ideas or perpetuate stereotypes or harmful beliefs. However, in the name of anti-racism, look it up if you don't know what anti-racism is. In the honor of anti-racism, I did feel compelled to speak about this. So there is a person on their personal blog who wrote a rebuttal to the New York Times article that most of us have read by now that discussed the lack of diversity in dietetics. This individual's blog has made some circulation as I got it this morning, and I wasn't even looking for it. So I thought it'd be appropriate for someone else to address this. I'm going to break this down in piecemeal just so it's better understood. My points, that is. Number one, this is an opinion piece. This is not, no matter who sends this around or the stature of the individual who agrees with the opinions shared in this piece, this is not an Academy approved a rebuttal. This is not an Academy standpoint. And in fact, everyone with whom I have spoken with from the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, the Committee of Lifelong Learning, dietitians in various other leadership positions within the Academy presently, and folks in past leadership positions within the Academy, as well as friends and colleagues who are Academy members, have all shared that the New York Times article allowed them to look deeper within themselves and consider their own implicit bias. Now, folks who did not read that article and feel that they had nothing to look within to or to change within themselves might find solace in this person's opinion piece. So Dustin Moore is a white, heterosexual, cisgender, male dietitian. So albeit, as a cisgender male dietitian who's white myself, I will say that, we are one of the minorities within the dietetic profession, but by far not a minority in our culture or in our society. And really what the New York Times article spoke to was our society as it's viewed through the lens of the dietetics profession, not necessarily a bashing of the Academy's efforts or a bashing of the Academy as a organizational unit, but a call for action. This person speaks about the history of the dietetics profession and why that is important in understanding our history of diversity, because it really allowed women to prosper and succeed during a time when not many women were working or having careers. In fact, I wrote a recent magazine article about this same issue, as women were expected to work, receive any education or training for that work, and come home and prepare dinner for their husbands, because that was the expectation of women at that time. So let's just take a step and appreciate the value that that was at that time. Calling out the whiteness of our organization is a call to action to improve the diversity within our organization and to challenge us as leaders within the academy and the dietetics profession to find ways for that to work, because no one else is going to do it for us. No one else is going to improve our diversity or advance our profession in that way but us. This was one of the first things I wanted to draw out. In my 10 years as program director in Southern California, I've never admitted a Black student to my program. Well, I'm glad he admits that at least, but I've never had the chance because there are so few Black people in the region. So that's the reason. That's the reason that there aren't enough Black dietitians, is because people perceive that there aren't enough Black people in their region. Well, come on. This is a university in Southern California. Our pipeline problem describes a situation in which there are a lot of white dietitians who are funneled through to the profession. And so we see a lot of white dietitians in leadership positions, in speaker positions at Fancy, writing articles, etc. Clearly, if we are 90% or more white, then yes, we're going to have more white people speaking on behalf of the academy. However, that doesn't mean that the fact that there are not enough individuals of color or marginalized communities who are dietitians, it doesn't mean that that's not a problem. This person also calls out Dr. Evelyn Creighton, who is the Academy's first Black president, and refuted her statement in the article. It is not a white man's position to tell a Black woman her feelings or opinions about her experiences. That is by far not the role of any individual, especially a person born with implicit privilege. This person seemingly questions the idea of implicit bias. Well, if someone doesn't really understand implicit bias, then by far they're not going to be able to speak on this either. This person also calls out something that Ms. Turner had said and points out to Mary Lee Chin, and challenges this statement from Ms. Turner as something that Mary Lee Chin would be offended by. I'm not speaking for anyone within the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics except for myself. And I will say that there have been numerous people in Academy leadership who has acknowledged that the creation of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee in 1987 was to check a box. It has been over 30 years, people. Come on, this is ridiculous. To say that a person's opinion or statement about the historical evolution of a committee doesn't negate the current role in it. They are working diligently, but they are a small group of volunteers. And it is our job as dietetic professionals to be on this boat, regardless of where we live or our backgrounds, and to support the efforts of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and to understand that they are not checking boxes now, and they probably haven't been for some time, but that was the initial impetus of the committee. This person speaks upon their legacy as a dietitian and their legacy as an academy professional based on what they've earned. Well, I can tell you this. I'm not saying that any person did not earn their dietetics career or did not earn their dietetics profession to be their own. However, what I am saying is that the amount of privilege that comes from white individuals, the amount of privilege that comes from white males in our society has an influence on various industries and various markets in which people work. If we're going to change the face of dietetics, we, as the people within the field of dietetics, have to have a positive influence to make that happen. Are we all going to be change makers? No. Should we all feel bad for existing within the profession while living a white or privileged life? No. But it is the time to make the change. It is the time to elicit the right things and the right people and the right opportunities to make change happen. We need to elevate the voices of those of color, not suppress them. This article suppresses every voice in that article, and everyone in that article was speaking on their experiences. This by far is an inappropriate message to send or to disseminate, and it negates what's happening now. Yes, the evolution of the academy was one of progress and advancing the opportunities for women, for white women. But now we have a new challenge above us. So how are we going to surpass this next challenge? Is it by looking back and saying, well, we're already great? Or is it by challenging this idea that maybe we're not and finding ways to solve those problems and those issues? Understanding our lack of perfection is how we make change. Having difficult, uncomfortable conversations is how we make change. Feeling uncomfortable is how we make change. We don't fight against it. We don't say, oh, I'm but one person, or, oh, this isn't my problem. This is everyone's problem. Because at the end of the day, when we have people of color seeking our professional expertise to improve their nutritional health and their nutritional quality of life, and they are a marginalized communities, they are probably more likely to listen to someone of their background who experiences their culture and their daily life rather than a straight cisgender white female or a very opinionated cisgender heterosexual white male with a blog. So that is my 2 cents on this article. I encourage you to check it out, but I do not encourage you to share it amongst other people unless you're trying to educate folks on why diversity and inclusion is an important pillar of the future of the academy and second century dietetics. Thank you so much for listening to my rant, and I hope you enjoyed my Christmas tree while I've chatted.